Well, I would like to take this time again. People have joined us at different times to wish all the fathers, grandfathers, and I'm not sure if they're great-grandfathers here with us today, a very blessed Father's Day. And we have a very special treat this day. We have three amazing fathers, two of which who are also grandfathers, who are going to share their wisdom of fatherhood in just a moment. And before they do their sharing, I just would like to take a moment to share three very tiny memories that writers submitted to the Reader's Digest in honor of Father's Day. And the first one is entitled Good Vibrations, which was written by Mary Perkins from St. John's, Michigan. And Mary writes, "My dad, unexpectedly at the age of 78, leaving our family heartbroken. During the funeral mass, my sister felt her phone vibrate in her purse. She was a little surprised that someone would be calling her, knowing she was at Dad's funeral mass. Afterward, she found there was a message. 'Hi, this is your dad,' said the male voice. 'I wanted to let you know I made it home.' The caller obviously had the wrong number, but the message was clear. My dad had completed his journey to the great beyond and wanted us to know. Thanks, Dad, until we meet again." And so let us just take this moment to know even those beloved fathers and grandfathers and great-grandfathers who are beyond the veil are right here in our hearts. And I invite you to send them a special blessing. And the next memory is called The Hitchhiker's Guide to Family. And it was written by Rachel O'Connor, and she is from Weston, New York. "Linda, look at the map." My father slammed on the brakes, glaring at my mom. He didn't believe in excess planning, and so each summer we embarked on a spontaneous family road trip that didn't always go smoothly. There were a lot of late nights, panics to find hotels, stops to ask for directions, and elevated tempers. One night, we picked up a hitchhiker somewhere in Kentucky. As we blasted the radio and my dad bought us ice cream, the hitchhiker told me he'd give his life to have what I had. And so today, let's just take a moment to bless all those things that we may take for granted, all those individuals that we may take for granted. And as the hitchhiker reminds us, for all those who have had a less than perfect relationship with their dad, or perhaps had a father who was absent, let us drop through our hearts and send them a blessing of release, of love. Peace be still. And in the love of forgiveness, I free you and I free myself. And then the last one I'll share is entitled Talking is Like Ketchup by Carmen Marino from Massachusetts. I sat in my dad's living room one night while he watched television. An hour passed before I realized it. I had felt bad for not speaking during that time. I asked if he was okay, and he said yes. Then I apologized for not talking more. "Carmen," Dad replied, "talking is like ketchup. If you like the meat enough, you don't need the ketchup. And if you like the company enough, you don't need the conversation. My dad never earned a college degree, but he was the smartest person I ever knew. And so let us treasure the wisdom that fathers and grandfathers bestow on all of us. And now we get to be blessed by the wisdom of three very beautiful men in our community who are incredible fathers and some who are grandfathers. And we will start off with our very own and precious, beautiful Steve DeGluth.
Hello, everybody. A few weeks ago, Reverend Angela asked me to talk about what it's like to be a father, grandfather. I was honored and felt panic at the same time. I was never a father's nose best father, far from it. Looking back, was I prepared to be a father? The answer was no. I had no idea of the depths that it would take to become a dad. All of a sudden, I had to man up, take my situation much more seriously than any time in my previous 24 years. I was married at age 20. I swore I would never work as hard as my father did, 2 jobs, putting a roof over our head, clothes on our back, food on the table. I never got to thank him for that. He passed early on. Well, that's what I became. A little under a month left in her pregnancy, the doctor suspected that she was off.
Peaches.
That's
very friendly.
From Steve's background, James.
I am. Oh, wow. That's interesting. Okay. How sweet. Somebody sent me cookies. Thank you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you.
Should I start over?
You can continue with that's the father I became about.
Okay. A little under a month left in her pregnancy, the doctor suspected something was wrong. I'll say something was off. When Jan told me we were having twins, I almost fainted. All was well with the birth of my sons. The real work started. Watching them grow was amazing. We had such great support system, and I thank God for the help that they gave us. Jobs became scarce during the gas shortage. We had to scramble to make ends meet. The twins grew and grew. Before long, they were in high school, and I blinked. I almost missed it. Things I thought were important were dismissed by me as irrelevant. As the family needs grew, baseball, scouting, family gatherings flew by, doctor visits, growing pains, disciplining 2 rambunctious boys wasn't easy. The boys started working out of vocational school as electricians. They made me very proud. The subject that they taught became their life's work. They met their wives working during summer vacations at Burger King. Time flew once again. I blinked, and the first one was married, then the second one. A couple years passed. First grandchild arrived, and it was totally amazing. I watched my sons become very fine men, doing better than I could have ever imagined. For your information, being a grandparent is the greatest thing I've ever accomplished. Mm-hmm. Sitting back, watching the kids grow is the greatest joy I've ever known. Watching them take their first steps to seeing them excel in school, hearing about their hobbies, things they're passionate about, speaking with them on subjects that matter to them. I realize I'm a very blessed man to know that some part of me will live on through them, through their children, and so on. Thank you, Reverend Angela, for reminding me of what the most important things in life are. It's not the destination, it's the journey and all the little things in between that count. God bless you, my Unity family. I love you and miss you all. Namaste.
Namaste, Steve, and I thank you and know that each one of us who seek to evolve, to grow, and I see that so beautifully in you, and I see the love that you have for your children, your grandchildren, and I so appreciate your willingness to open your heart more and more each day. Love you.
Thank you. Love you much.
And next, I don't know what just happened. We have our very own board president, Tom Serum.
Hey, good morning, everyone. I'm just surprised to see these pictures here. I guess Sharon was at work. Again, when Reverend Angela asked me to do this, I thought about what it means to me to be a father. So I came up with some words that I think both apply to the real world as being a physical father and also in the spiritual sense. They are: a father is a creator, a provider, a protector, a teacher, and an advisor. Interesting, I did a little research. I probably, like all of you, thought Father's Day has been around as a official holiday for a long time, but it really wasn't until 1972 that Richard Nixon signed whatever you signed to make things a national holiday. People had been celebrating, but it really wasn't. Mother's Day goes back, I think, to 1912. So I thought about my father. Like Steve told his story about his father, my father was a hard worker. He was, you know, part of that generation, World War II generation, that worked hard and loved his family. What he gave me was his love of music and his work ethic. And if I had to think about one way to describe him, I would have to say he wasn't scared of anything. And I never understood that. He wasn't a really big guy. He wasn't a really, you know, force in the room. I saw him stand up to people. It was amazing. And it wasn't until many, many years later that he had already passed that I figured out, you know, he was a medic in two. I guess there isn't anything he could have seen outside of that whole thing that could ever make him scared. So I think about that a lot. And then I thought about what he didn't give me. What he didn't give me was a playbook to be a father. And I think that's because there is none. There's no guidebook that that tells you how to do all this stuff. You kind of really just wing it. So years later, I become a father. I was at the birth of my two boys. And again, we share those interests: music. My one son is the musician. My other son is the computer geek. What it means now, you know, we're probably closer than ever. Just like with my father, as we got older, we got closer. And one thing about being a father is you're always on call. It's just you're on call whether they're 2 years old or 32 years old. Then I became a grandfather. Now, interesting, I never had a grandfather. Both my grandfathers were passed before I was born. I had two grandmothers, but no grandfather. So again, no playbook there on how to be a grandpa. No memories either. So I'm kind of winging that. But again, like Steve said, being a grandfather is a whole nother chapter. I think that because you have more time, you have less pressure, it becomes a little bit more, I don't want to say fun, in that being a father is not fun, but being a grandfather is a whole different dimension. of being able to interact with your grandkids. I wanted to talk just a little bit about the new paradigm of the blended family.
Mm.
Take a look at these pictures. There's a lot of blend in there. When I was first married, I had no children of my own, but my introduction to fatherhood was I became a stepfather to a pre-teenage daughter. That was my segue into fatherhood. Then I had two sons of my own. Then years later, when I married Sharon, I gained another son, and we become very, very close. Then I had the grandkids from Jason, and then Jason remarried, and we gained some more grandkids from that. Now we have another one from their union, and one of the happiest memories I have as a father was last summer. My son Andrew got married. We had that destination wedding in Hawaii, but the important part is this whole big blended family was all together, all in one spot, and it was probably one of the most wonderful memories that I have. And now I'm happy to say that my son Andrew is expecting a son, and it will be a Zero. It's actually will be the one that keeps the name going. I have a very small family, and so I'm really, really excited about that. And I'd like to just say one other thing, and that is I'd like to acknowledge the mothers who have served as fathers. So all those qualities that I mentioned at the beginning, creator, provider, protector, teacher, advisor, sometimes that's a woman who's been doing that. So the concept of father, I think, has nothing to do with male or female. It's really about those qualities. And well, that's it. Thank you.
Tom, oh, you are so precious, and your sharing has warmed my heart, and the beauty of your one son who is a computer geek, which is, you're our computer geek, and your other son who's the drummer, you're our drummer, and the fine wine, as Jason is such a beautiful soul with so much wisdom. And through your, each year, like fine wine, you grow and you blossom in your wisdom. And I thank you for fathering us as board president here at Unity by the Shore.
Thank you, Angela. Thank you very much.
And next we have Orsini. And I'm having some difficulty here with my computer, so apologies. So Orsini Sanchez, and we get to see the blossoming of fatherhood as his children, his boys, Julian and Xavier, has grown up right before our eyes. So Orsini.
Thank you, Angela, for giving me the honor of sharing. And you know, fatherhood is when you ask me to say something, I'm like, I only have 5 minutes. I mean, that's I can probably go on for 3 hours. But I was hearing Steve and Tom share, and it brought back to, you know, my own father and grandfather. I mean, even though my father was not necessarily a big part of my life, later on, early on, a little bit more. One thing that I cherish and I carry is my father's gentle nature and my grandfather's gentle nature. And I always remember that and always keep that in my heart. I have my own journey with my own father, a journey of forgiveness, and it's but you know, it brought me, when you asked me to share, I thought about the blessings that I've received from fatherhood and what I've learned. And you know, these two boys, and I'm sure many fathers initially before having children the thing comes up of, it was a point for me personally. It was a point of not knowing what in the world I'm going to be doing. Just like Tom said, there is no playbook. And there's a self-imposed kind of pressure before you have children of thinking, man, am I going to be enough? Can I do this? But one thing that, like everything, you bring some willingness to the table, and God just brings you the kingdom. And that's how I feel like, just coming to the table with a little bit of willingness and saying, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be the best that I can be. And what God delivers in his place is just incredible. And the things that I've learned, I try to pare it down, and I probably have a list of 50 or 100 of them. But the top four really is the number one thing was that love is limitless. That's one thing that, growing up in the way I grew up, I had to look over my shoulder a lot, right? And you chose your friends, and you compartmentalize your love, sort of. Something I've kind of learned being part of Unity and my journey here. But as soon as I had children, my first child and then my second child, I began to know that love, there is no divisibility of something that's limitless like love. And that has really been a very powerful impact in my life, because the undoing of false belief that there is a limit to love has been very, very impactful to me. The second thing was it was the opportunity. My children give me the opportunity to be here and now. Obviously, having two boys is probably very easy to try to live your life through them. But one thing that they've taught me is not living through them, but to accepting their light and their struggles, and then getting basically out of their way. Not to put them in a box, and almost doing less and being more, being there, that's a big learning experience, because it, just like I said before, God brings you the kingdom. It's brought that calmness. It's kind of interesting where it can be very inviting for say, oh yeah, let me push, let me mold them. And it's been the opposite, is let me step back, let me observe, let me accept, let me learn. And that's been very powerful for me. The last thing is, and so I won't be here for another half hour, is consistency. I really learned, it has, and it's been a blessing, is that it's not about the grand gestures. It's about the moment to moment, right? It's, the growing, I think of my own kind of father, and I think of what was really important, one of the grand gestures, right? What was really important were the moments, and those little moments over time. And it has really taught me to be present, right? Present in every single moment. And that slows everything down for me. So I thank you for letting me share. Made me think about that. And I've been living that for the past 16 years, I got a 14-year-old and a 16-year-old, and they're rocking it. And obviously I couldn't do this without my wife. That influence is very powerful, but I've really grown a deep understanding of what, how important fatherhood is. Being a son myself and being a father now, and coming full circle like that. And obviously in the future, becoming a grandfather and things like that, which is going to be incredible as well. So thank you. Thank you for allowing me to share. And yeah, I'm complete.
Orsini, I thank you. I thank you because not only are the boys blessed and Lisa's blessed, your entire extended family is blessed by your presence, but you bless us by your modeling and how you show up. We can see that. I mean, these pictures emulate the joy, but we get to experience that in person. And I think it is one of the most profound things to allow. Knowing what you said, such a gem of wisdom, to know that yes, we are all one. All of us are divine in nature, but each one is a unique expression of the divine. And to know that is
You don't.
a gift that you can give your sons, and just to allow them to be that unique expression in whatever is wanting to express through them. So namaste, Orsini. Thank you for blessing us. I love and appreciate you. So let us give thanks for Steve, for Tom, for Orsini, for all of the beautiful fathers in our midst, all that played the role of father. And so let us move to our affirmative prayer.
Thank you so much, Steve, Tom, Orsini, and a special thank you to Tom for what you said about mothers who were also fathers. Right. And now I invite you to read along silently with me our affirmative prayer. I celebrate the commitment, dedication, guidance, and love demonstrated by fathers and grandfathers within our community and all around the world.